The NASCAR Cup Series heads to World Wide Technology Raceway this weekend. It's the second visit. Last year, it was Joey Logano winning in overtime against Kyle Busch. We also saw the very beginning of what is an ongoing feud between Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain. So, with what we saw last year, Dustin, what can we expect as the teams head to Gateway this weekend?
Well, one thing we know for certain, it's going to be hot with temperatures expected to be in the low 90s. It looks to be the hottest race of the season. So we'll see if that leads to hot action on the track and tempers on and off the track, as we certainly saw last year. But I'll tell you what, when I look at this weekend, there's a few drivers I'm kind of keeping an eye on, and I'll tell you some of them here is one driver I'm looking at is Kyle Larson. And one of the things that's interesting with Larson is you think about his up and down season that he's had this year, is that this is the fourth time he's had back-to-back finishes outside the top 10. And then what's happened in the other three times where he's had these instances where he's come back? Well, the next race, he finished second, then he finished first, then he finished second. So I'm kind of curious, can that continue this weekend? Does this become Kyle Larson's weekend where he bounces back after a couple bad finishes? Another driver I'm taking a look at this weekend is Ross Chastain, like you mentioned. Well known for what angering Denny and Chase last year. But look, here's a guy who is leading the points, but has had a pair of finishes outside the top 20, and his points lead has dwindled. There's now five drivers within 17 points, 16, 17 points of him in the point standings. And that's the closest that you've had so many drivers after 14 races in a season. And again, that's, we're talking about playoff points that you're positioning yourself for, in the sense of, that can help you for later in the season. So I think that's critical to see what happens with him. And I'll tell you, another driver I'm keeping an eye on is Bubba Wallace, three
Huh.
straight top fives.
You
And
stole, you stole you stole my watch list with Bubba.
that, yeah, but I mean, look, I mean, that team's really picked up. So tell me what you see out of him, and who else are you watching this weekend?
Yeah, not only Bubba Wallace, but just 2311 in general. They seem to have finally maybe hit their groove. And I'm wondering if they can keep that consistent. Like you mentioned, if we count the All Star race, Bubba has four straight top five finishes. And then you look at Tyler, four of the last five, he has top 10 finishes. Last year, 2311, they showed some spark at Gateway. Kurt Busch finished in the top five. The Toyotas in general, too. I'm curious to see what they can do this weekend. Obviously, Joey Logano beat Kyle Busch in overtime, Kyle in a Toyota at that time. And so I'm looking for maybe some big things out of the Toyota camp as we head to Gateway. And then also keeping an eye on Ty Gibbs. I mentioned the Toyotas. He's in a Toyota. This is his first start at Worldwide Technology Raceway, but I think he has quietly impressed a lot of people this season. He currently sits in the 17th position. He is just shy of that playoff picture. And granted, he did have a lot of seat time last year, but he is considered a rookie. He's only 15 points out. He really impressed me last weekend in the Coke 600. If he hadn't got up in, I think it was Kyle Larson's mess, he would have been looking at what was a top 10 finish, maybe after all the other action that happened, even a top five finish. And so he has impressed me more so than I thought he would this season.
I think it's going to be fun to watch Ty the next several weeks, and to see, now that he's in this position, what does he do? How can he take advantage of it? What does he and that organization do? And obviously, the big news this week is with Corey LaJoie in the number 9 car for Chase Elliott. Obviously, it will be somebody to watch. I think I have tempered expectations. I don't view this as a make or break situation for Corey, but I think it's an opportunity to have a good run, build some momentum. I know some people think, hey, this is an opportunity to score a lot of points and maybe he can point his way into the playoffs. But I think with the Spire team, I'm not sure that they're strong enough at some other types of tracks that are coming up that'll allow him to do that. I really still think that his best avenue to make the playoffs right now is to win at Atlanta or Daytona. He's had a career high finish 4th at Atlanta. We've seen how strong he's run in Atlanta in the past. Daytona Speedway racing, I think, could be falling his way. So, I just want to see what Corey can do. And, this may be an opportunity of a lifetime for him. See what he can do and go from there.
One other guy I'm looking at is Alex Bowman. He had a 12th place finish in the Coke 600 after returning from a back injury. And I saw some of his interviews, and it's clear he still is in pain. And he was able to make it through the longest race distance-wise of the year. So curious to see what he's able to do now that he's back in the seat full time. But we've touched on a lot of teams we're going to be watching. So I got to ask, who's your pick to win this weekend?
So it's somebody I haven't even mentioned yet. So
gosh, okay.
I'm going with William Byron, 5 straight top 10s. He's led nearly 20% of the laps the last 5 races. And I just think that, look, I think you make a good point about the Toyotas, and certainly I'd be keeping an eye on them. But I'm going to go with William Byron for the win at World Wide Technology Raceway.
Okay. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace because he seems to be the one that we both overlapped on, that we both had circled to talk about to see what he was going to do this weekend. So I think it's Bubba Wallace in victory lane at World Wide Technology Raceway.
Hi, I'm Parker Kligerman. For more access like this from Pit Road, be sure to click and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel.